Hi users, in this part of the video we're going to be talking about the insert menu within the new Google Sites. And I'm going to talk about some features that I use, some features that I don't really use. Really what you decide is completely up to you, but I do strongly suggest looking at some of those web design standards and best practices out there so that when you're creating your content, you're laying it out in a way that makes sense for the user. In the top right-hand corner of that menu, you are going to find the text box feature, images, embed, and drive. I'll be honest, most of the time I stick with these four features. They can get me a lot, even though they seem rather simple. Underneath layouts, sometimes I will use these different layouts so that I don't have to spend time rearranging different things on the page, that layout is ready to go for me. When you use one of those layouts, I'm going to add one to the bottom of the page here. You'll notice I have all these preset boxes, and when I click on the box, if I have all of this blocked out in blue and hit delete, it deletes just that one. I'm going to Control Z to bring it back. But if I just wanted to get rid of, let's say, this placeholder image box, I can hit delete when just that box is selected. Now I have the option to drag this text wherever I want, and I can drag these wherever I want as well. So when you're dragging things around, just keep in mind that whatever the blue box is completely around is what is going to be manipulated. You can also drag out the size, and you'll notice that this impacts the placeholder, the subheading text, as well as the normal text below. If I want to easily delete this whole section, I can use the trash can on the far left here to delete that section altogether. On the bottom, I have an array of different options on things that I can add directly to my site. Now, some of these at the top, I definitely use. They're very unique, but as you get down into docs, slides, sheets, forms, and charts, I actually tend to use the embed feature. I find it a little quicker to add what I need to my site. Let's get started with adding some things to my Untitled page. We're going to select Insert, and I want to add a text box. When I add my text box, you can see I can customize all the different things that my theme has preset. And here's where I would choose the type of text that I want to appear. I'm going to leave the font and font size the same because I want to tweak things in my theme instead of tweaking them in the individual text box. If I tweak them in the individual text box, that means I need to change each individual text box that I'm doing that for. And I want all of my titles to be consistent, so I would rather change that in the theme so it makes all of my titles consistent across the entire web page. You'll notice in this box, you also have options under the three dots to change the line spacing, indent, decrease and increase indent, use strike through, or clear the formatting altogether. You can center, right, justify, or left align, change the color of the text, underline, bold, italicize, font size, and back to the type of text that I have. On the left-hand side, I will notice that I have the options here to choose which style of my section that I wanted. So if you watched the video when I was talking about themes, these are the three different preset styles. That way, if I have all those presets done and I know that my headings, they're going to be in this nice style 3 preset, I can do that here. I can add images to the background, but do be aware that adding too many images to the background or patterns can really distract your user. So I try to make sure that if I'm adding images to the background, it's really purposeful and it also doesn't draw away from the content on my page. I also have the option to duplicate the whole section or trash can the section altogether. I'm going to trash can that section. Images is pretty straightforward. If you've used the insert images within Google Slides or one of the other Google apps, you'll have no issue with that. I can insert from my desktop or computer, or I can select, and you'll notice I get all of the options to search my drive for those images as well. Search by URL, do a Google image search, or go directly to my Google Photos. The embed feature. A lot of times when people get started, they don't quite know what the embed feature is, but it is by far my favorite feature of Google Sites. It allows me to embed everything from other Google apps, minus Jamboard, to other web pages, other interactive content, videos, and so much more. Now, why would I embed? Why can't I just put a link in there? Well, the goal of your web page is to keep people on your web page. You don't want people to constantly go to your web page to go somewhere else. So I'm going to embed content directly on my site so that users are going to stay on my site to see what they need. Let's say I have content on something like National Geographic. I'm teaching about tigers. I'm really hoping that we'll come up with something easy. All right, so I have this National Geographic page about tigers. I'm going to grab the URL from the very top, come back to my Google site, select embed, and I can choose to embed by URL, or if you want to get fancier and a site has embed code available and you know what you're doing, you can easily paste that embed code right in there. I'm going to paste this in here, and Google's going to give me two options. Now, depending on the way that the page is formatted, Google will tell you right away, okay, I can do a whole page, I can do a preview, or I can't embed this at all. If you can't embed it at all, then you're kind of stuck with inserting a link or inserting an image with a link attached to it, or some other way you want to go about that. A button can also be great in that choice too. I'm going to decide I want the whole page inserted here. And you'll notice right now it kind of looks like my page is cut off, but if I go to my preview to see what it would look like when I publish that site, I can now see that that user can surf this article about tigers from National Geographic without ever leaving my webpage. This is a great way to make sure that we're directing our audience to just that one aspect of the webpage and not sending them on a wormhole with all these different things. Now, some people have asked me, does this lock them on this page only? No, sadly, it doesn't. So if they select games at top and start maneuvering through the site that way, they are still going to be able to access that content. The other really beneficial thing of that embed feature is I can actually grab the link from something like a Google slide deck. I have this interactive slide deck that I've created where users can click on the play button to see how things work and listen to the audio. Now, I want users to be able to interact with this in my Google site. I'm going to select the share button. And once here, I'm going to be getting the link for this particular slide deck. Do keep in mind when you share Google Docs, slide sheets, anything in your Google Drive on your Google site, an easy way to get it there is actually to open that up first and select copy link. You can add directly from the From My Drive feature, but sometimes I find it a little challenging to find the things in your drive. Also keep in mind, this share permissions still matters. Even if your site is set for your whole class to see, if you don't change the sharing permissions on your notes or whatever you're adding for your class to see as well, they will not see that item. If I'm creating sites with Google for students, so students are creating their own sites, I typically don't have them change all the sharing permissions because I really want things to remain private to them. I just want them to be able to see their own web page in the end and maybe be able to share that with their family members. I'm going to select copy link, and then I'm going to select embed. Choose to embed this, so I'm just pasting the link there and selecting insert. You'll notice it embeds a really nice interactive copy of my Google slide. I can drag it to make it bigger, and Google gives me these guidelines to help me decide where I'm going to place things on my page. You'll notice as I drag things over to the center, it will even help me center and size things. Now, when I preview my site, users are treated to an interactive version of my Google slide. So they don't need to do anything else but begin interacting with that slide. They can choose to open it full screen if that would be easier for their viewing. And lastly, we have the drive feature. Now, the drive feature is kind of just like the embed feature where it does the embedding for you. You can click on this and search through anything in your drive and add pretty much anything in your drive to your Google site as a live interactive feature. However, sometimes, again, I find it easier to just open the item directly and get the link and then use the embed feature. It tends to be a little bit faster for me. We've talked about layouts. You have options for collapsible groups, a preset table of contents that will take all the headings and subheadings on your page and create a table of contents that's clickable at the top of your page, image carousels, buttons. Buttons can be a really powerful way to share content with readers, especially content that you're not able to embed. It's also a great way to grab readers' attention and send them directly to a specific page. So if I create my button, I give it a name, and then I give it a link. I can send them to another page on my site and select insert. I'll notice here's my button. I don't love the color of my button, so I'm going to play around with what does it look like when it's outlined. Okay, it's black. I can do it as text. I kind of like the outline. It's not quite as assaulting to the eyes with that black feature and the orange with it. Now, if I want to change the color of the button, luckily I can go and do that in my themes. If I've created my own theme, there are options to get more specific. Dividers and placeholders can be helpful for kind of tweaking the way that your page looks. There is the cloud search tool. I'll be honest, I've never used this effectively, so I'm not going to talk a ton about it here. The YouTube feature. Now, you can use the YouTube feature here and kind of search YouTube just like you would in Google Sites, or if you already have the link to your YouTube video, just simply go up to the embed button, paste in your link, and add your video that way. Calendar and everything below can pretty much be added through that embed feature. However, these are quick tools to help you add directly from some of these Google apps if these are things you're using as well. Do keep in mind when you click on slides, it's going to pull up all these different slides in your drive, and you may need to do some time looking for those slides there. Once you have all your things on your page, you can simply drag them around to rearrange them. There are some limitations to the way that Google will allow you to lay out different text, and so you really have to drag things around to find out what's going to work best. Some of those limitations are by design, and they're really to help guide web creators to designs that are a little bit more visually pleasing. However, at times I have found them a little frustrating because I can't get quite what I want in different circumstances. If you've mastered the insert menu, don't forget to look back at the pages and themes videos so that you understand how that works. And when you're ready, go ahead and click this button up at the top to publish your web page. It will ask you or show you all the different changes that you've made on your web page. Make sure you're ready to do that before you click publish. Make sure you also know what group of users you want to publish your content for so you don't accidentally put things out there that you want to restrict to only a certain group of users. Good luck with creating your web designs.